In the words of Kendrick Lamar, bitch, sit down, be humble. I guess all that advice that he's getting from Metatron and Gabriel is paying dividends because he's spitting truth. When you're walking the path of self-development, self-improvement, transformation, you start to get this internal sense of accomplishment. And when you are so happy and so confident within yourself, you don't feel the need to speak it because that energy, that light is radiating from you, and people will give you the compliments without you fishing for them. That's the exact opposite of the person that only does amazing things just so they can tell people about it. We all have that person in our family or in the office. And the office, for example. Hey, Bob. Oh, you were on vacation? Where'd you go? Oh, well, we went to Hawaii. We went to the Big Island. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, that's cool. But man, that's nothing in comparison to when I went to Bali and I met the king of Wakanda there. And oh my gosh, we did so many things. He was my best friend. We did so many expensive things. That's cool. Yeah, me and my family, we love spending time together. Yeah, but I spent time with, actual royalty. Wakanda forever, so you really you're not as great as I am, but I'm glad you're trying. Of course, I was a little hyperbolic, but you see, I'm just trying to make a little bit of a joke. The people that can't resist the urge to tell you everything that they've done, they're seeking that praise, they're seeking that attention, they're seeking that positive reinforcement that workaholics tend, especially that workaholic that has to tell you how many hours they worked. I worked 67 hours in one day. I did this, I did that. Because they're not feeling fulfilled inside, they want the external world. They still need that external validation. But when you have that internal confidence, you don't need people to feel you. You don't need people to do this. Just the way you carry yourself will speak volumes. You don't need to explain every single thing. You don't need to put down people to make yourself feel better. You don't need to, because you got all the love inside. No external love needed. All the love comes from within. It's just one of those things, man. You got to look in the mirror. If everyone in the world acted like you, would that be a good world? And I know that could be a little egotistical and such. And some people that are the worst representation of human beings in the world say, yes, everyone should be like me because I'm the greatest. But for those of you that actually have some sense and you can really break it down, where can I improve? Okay, I'm just going to go quietly do that. And then when I do, my life will reflect it. I don't need to tell people what I do necessarily. Now, I do it for educational purposes, but when you're walking around, you don't need to tell people that you did your fasting. You don't need to volunteer the information that you've read this book. You don't need to tell people how much money you make. You don't need to tell people all the business moves you do. And keep that to yourself. Eventually, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Sometimes when the teacher is ready, the student will appear. When you've done so much quietly and all behind the scenes, someone is going to recognize you quietly and be like, hey, how do I do that? And the arrogant person will try to gatekeep, and they'll try to keep that information to themselves. But for someone like you that is humble and modest and realize that we live in a world of abundance, that there's no point that I need to keep any information away from anybody, it's just like, oh, that you saw that? Cool. This is how I got here. Come on. Let me put you under my wing. Let me show you something, young pup. You know what I'm saying? It's this is what we need to do. But this is something I'm currently working on. For example, in regards to health, for me, because I live relatively healthy, don't get me wrong, I do slack off. I eat foods I know I shouldn't. I know it's poison. I put it in my body. That's my own ignorance. That's my own lust/gluttony. Lust is more than just sexual things. Lust is just an insatiable appetite for stuff. But nevertheless, it's just I have my own things, but when you walk around and you see the older people especially, you see people with the varicose veins, you see people overweight, you see people that can't take 4 steps, you see a 40-year-old that has to use a cane because they're so out of shape and all this type of stuff. I just be like, ugh, I want to volunteer that information, but then as I've learned from experience, hey, when they ready, when they want to hear it, they will seek out the information. You can't force it on no one, so you just have to observe quietly. Put your hand up and wave and wish them the best. It's this is just how it is. But, when you become the example, and this is what I always say, whether it's my religious videos, whether it's motivation, working out, whatever it is, field that you're in, you need to become the example. You need to be the thing that people can see and be like, oh, that's health. Oh, that's crypto. Oh, that's a stock trader. That's a successful real estate person. That's a real fitness guy. That's a professional arborist. You know, that's a such a such a such a such. You need to become that person. You see? But you don't do that by running around and saying, look how great I am, look how great I am, because ironically, the world doesn't like a confident person either. The world doesn't like confidence. So even if you do everything right, there's going to be someone out there that's miserable, that hates you for the fact that you're simply comfortable in your own skin. So let things come to you. Keep on adding into your own internal reservoir of power. Keep on building that light and then radiate. And then eventually the people that will actually hear your message, that will take your wisdom, the people that will actually enact what you do, that will emulate what you do. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. Some people want to do some stuff and like, oh, I'm the one that did that. I'm the only one that did that. No, man, let other people follow in your footsteps. That's your own. That's your new student right there. Teach them, guide them. Do that, but always do it in a way that allows for them to have their own flexibility to come up with their own ideas. They have to walk the walk. Let them bring in something else for them. Not everyone has to do everything the way you want them to do. This is a lesson that I need to remind myself oftentimes. I know my mom, my girl, be watching this, but but you know how I am. You know what I'm saying? It's like I could be an asshole. I'm not perfect, but when I recalibrate, I know who I am. I know the value in myself. I know I got my connection with God through God. All things are possible. So like, I already eliminated myself. I'm dead. I don't need anything. There's nothing to do with me. It's all God flowing through me. That's where my spiritual belief has brought me. That's why I always say that you need to be a steward of whatever it is that you believe. Stop going out here picking fights with everybody. This is the internet, so I do it. That's just, I don't know, it's just a little bit of fun, you know. But in real life, stop that, because real life, you know, altercations can, especially religious conversations, like they can blow up so quickly. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, man, love yourself. Keep on building that light within you and radiate. You don't have to force your opinion on people. You don't have to share everything you're doing. They will naturally gravitate to you. To the next one.